Hey, Sally, thank you for joining us today in these art talks. For me, it's a pleasure because I really love your artwork. I saw your work since the beginning and I really like it. And of course, I'm really honored to you are joining us today. How are you, Sally?
Oh, well, thank you. I'm delighted that you asked me to be here. So, yes, I'm really well, thank you, and excited to chat to you about my work.
Excellent. Thanks. Thanks for giving us this time. So I have some questions for this is starting. I was reading about your work and about this beautiful college that you are making, and I saw about stuff textile stuff, and you are using a lot. No, so can you please share us a little bit of this, and then talk about your entire career, please, with us?
Okay, so about the textiles first. Yeah. Well, I guess from university, I studied, it was kind of a fine arts and textiles degree, and it was about pushing boundaries within textiles. So we covered a lot of areas in it: hand embroidery, machine embroidery, weaving, lots of different textile techniques. And then I guess I just really love fabrics. I love putting different fabrics together, the different patterns, different colours and textures. And I guess that led to, in my early 20s, I had a clothes making business with a friend. And again, we were like mismatching fabrics together to create the clothing. And I've never really lost my love for the fabrics, I guess. So I've tried over the years to incorporate it more with my painting, and I'm still trying to incorporate it. So I guess now on areas like this, I don't know if you can see this here. So this is
Beautiful.
a big patch of fabric here,
Hmm.
and it's been so I would stitch onto the fabric first, or embroider hand or with the sewing machine, and then I'd apply if I'm working on like hard panel,
Okay.
I can't stitch into it, so I have
Hmm.
to apply it on. And yeah, so I try to incorporate it. It's quite difficult because it can look very stuck on. So
Hmm.
you have to really blend in the paint around it and build up like what's either
Yes.
side of it. So it's definitely a work in progress. um, but when I work on quite an interesting point actually, when I work on canvas and
Okay.
not panel,
Not hard. Hmm.
I like to I like I like to make my own canvases out of fabrics first. So I would like stitch some fabrics together and then paint on them and then stretch them around the stretcher bars so it makes the
Hmm.
canvas. And that way the fabric can become part of the painting.
Yeah.
Um, does that make sense?
Yes. Completely.
Yeah. I
Completely.
haven't got any to hand actually.
It's okay. Don't
Uh,
worry. I
let's see
can
if I
search on your website or some. Uh, or
Hmm.
if you find something,
There are
then I can put it in here. Then.
there are some further down on my Instagram feed. There are some further down. I normally this is my painting wall, and I either hook things on like this, or I can attach fabrics and
Uh-huh.
work directly on the fabrics.
Excellent.
So.
Tell us about your creative process, like how you mix all your ideas or when the inspiration come, if you saw it, if you feel it, and it's more emotional, how you start.
Okay, well, I'm really disciplined with my practice now, so I no longer wait for the inspiration to come. I make sure I show up in my studio, and usually if I'm in my studio, something will happen, whether I'm sort of in the mood or not. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, sometimes I've been thinking of things, and then they'll eventually come to form of how I might go about something. I often work, well, I always work in a series, um, because for me it enables me to explore an idea further. If I'm thinking of many things, I can't put them all onto one piece, so
Okay.
I would spread that idea out over, 6, 12 pieces, or something. You can see here there's like 6 will be painted together if they're on little panels, or and I'll start with, usually mark making is a really big element for me in my work. And I like, in the first layers, whether it's working on a panel or on canvas, I'm very free. Even though I might be thinking of an idea, a loose idea somewhere, I try not to let that be too apparent when I'm first starting, because I like just everything to go out on the canvas. I'm not worrying about colour, I'm not worrying about composition. I'm just being very loose with my marks and very free.
Okay.
Um, so then it's a case of sort of building from there. I might put some collage elements in, and it's really just a play on marks, collage, colour, pattern, just sort of bringing everything together, until I start to feel that I've got enough ground there to work on top of. Um, so then something might start coming through an area that's looking, I might think, oh, I really like what's going on there. And then I can start responding to that part. But I try not to get too attached too soon, because I know that like there's more to come when you start building layers. More interesting things happen. So I try not to get too attached to any part too quickly.
And you said something really, really interesting about, like, yes, you work, and then also it's not like a, you know, just hope that the inspirations bring to you. You started, and then you're getting this flow, and then you create these wonderful pieces. And in that sense, because for me, I thought, yes, like the difference between an artist, people who likes just art and doing sometimes, it's that, when you become professional, you work as a professional, so yes, inspire we come, but neither find us or need to find us working it. So, that sense, um, how do you start with these plans? Like, I start to make a plan, or in the beginning some idea, and then you work on it during all the process, or make some notes, because I do some notes, like, this here and did that, and then I put it all maybe all together, and maybe I use it in that piece, or maybe in another.
Yeah, I don't know where my notebook is. I mean, I must have 100 notebooks that organising. But I usually have, I'll start making some notes, about something. It's usually something that's happening in my life, something that I'm responding to, a feeling or an emotion might spark from that, something in a relationship, something in your family, or a conversation, or something you have an emotional response to. And I'll start making loose notes about that, and maybe attaching some colors to it, how that could work. And then I guess, I mean, it's hard to say. It often starts like that, but if it doesn't start like that, and I just start with marks, I'll tell you this because it's been quite interesting for me to learn about myself.
Mhm.
As you go along the creative process and continue to paint, you start to see things coming through that are repetitive. So I started to notice, across maybe, I don't know, 20 paintings, similar marks that would come. Um, and it wasn't until I stood back and saw this, oh, it happened there, it happened there, it happened there, and then I start to piece together, what does that mean for me? So sometimes it's a bit of a reverse. It's not that I start with the idea, it's that I might just paint, and then that almost tells me something, you know. I keep seeing this certain colour or mark, and so then it's a case of me exploring what does that mean. And I often then, it's almost like it gives me a little bit of a thread to go on then, and I can start forming that idea to be a bit stronger into maybe more of a narrative that I can bring out more and develop. Does that make sense?
See, see.
And a good thing to do with this that I found really helpful. I keep it's like, this is like a vision, like your mark making becomes your personal visual language of your composition in paints. So I started to build, I don't know if you can see this very clearly, it's like a mark making journal. So you can start to take note of the marks that become more apparent in your work, and they just become very personal to you, which obviously means the work is then really unique. And I guess in my work that you see a lot of these curves that go up, or quite sort of enclosed shapes. I speak a lot about it in my stories in Instagram, and they're quite personal. You know, I can relate them back to really personal things. So yeah, it's really fascinating to kind of assess your own work in a way, and really look at your marks that you're making and why they're coming through. It's been interesting for me anyway.
How you discovered your style? Like when you start to work in art, of course you experiment different techniques, no? And then how you finish, or it's not finish, that's not the word, because I really believe in evolution. So how you take us as a part of you, the tools to share your personal stories. Like, how do you start to pick this and then pick the other and then finish in this work as a style? No, because I saw and I really like that. You know, you have this kind of a line.
Yeah. I guess it's just, it's really going deep into your practice and identifying what it is you really like in your own work. Because we, even from a very young age, even in with children and childhood, you're drawn to certain things, a certain color you like, or
Yes.
we might collect things, objects or shapes that we particularly are drawn to. And I think even in my very early work, I didn't really understand what it was. I'd never really heard of intuitive painting, and this approach or style, and I just thought they were my scribbles or doodles, and you know, I didn't pay all that much attention. But I think from very early on, if I look back, the things that show in my work now are starting to come around again and come through, so they are just very personal to me. And I think it's just been, I guess, you grow in confidence that that is my style or my work, and you just have to sort of go with that, because you can't be any other, really. If that's what naturally comes out of you, I think it's important to go with it, and just really have I suppose faith in yourself. It's the trust in yourself. And as well, you know, you build up, there's lots of things over the years that I've built up in terms of principles and what's going to make my work stronger. But those, again, you can sort of weave into your own way of working. But yeah, I definitely say even now I still go through a process. I'm always going through it of what I really like in the work,
Hmm.
and that's what will eventually come through at the end. So I might be focusing on really big, dense shapes, as opposed to lots of scribbly lines, or I don't want many scribbly lines. So it's about what am I trying to say in the painting? What's the most important thing for me, message that I'm trying to give across? So
Oh.
yeah, I'd say identifying what you really, really, really like and going with that.
Yes, and as you said, it comes from your childhood. It comes with the time. So certain things that you repeat, no, or you use like this, and then maybe another color, and then maybe take again. It's a thing that you use it like
Yeah,
too many times.
and that's how eventually you start building up your own visual language from those repetitive marks, and then you might develop them. They might get bigger or more intricate, but they're still you know.
Wow, really interesting. I really like that. And how you started to be a professional, because it's another question, like when you decide this, like, because at least here, and as I don't notice so much when I was there in London, but here we have this cliche about art, like, okay, an artist, have some, you know this, how I'm explain it, like, okay, there are like so much um bohemian guys, and they just live just maybe with air. No, so do you live that, or how do you take this, because this is a hard, like a hard work, no, because you
Mhm.
do everything, no, and then how you take this as a completely job, and then work on that, and then cross the line, and then start to sell your work and your thoughts and part of you.
um sorry, are you asking me how I manage my time with doing everything?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So well, I guess it's that thing of
Uh-huh.
being really disciplined with your time. So I do. I've tried sometimes have part-time jobs going alongside this, so there's not so much pressure on my artwork, and that depends on sort of where I'm at as well, or how much time I need, in the studio. But if I'm doing that, I just schedule my day. I get up really early and paint before work or before whatever I'm doing that day. And then I'm quite strict with my time. I have certain time blocks. I'm quite organised with that, and I schedule in all the admin things that need to be done. Or if I'm working to a release date, like I've just released a collection of work last week, I try to organise myself so I know how many weeks I need, and then how much time I need to paint, how much time I need to promote it, how much time I need for photography. So then I'd usually work backwards, and then I know how much time, when I need to start it and when I can finish it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it has completely sense. And because it's a really part, for me, it's hard part, no? To organize like everything, like to paint, like then send mails and then find places. It's like, I was talking with another big artist about it, and then he was telling me the same. Like, it's not easy and take us time, and then it's a complete organization, no? And then, of course, if we are time, it's all in that, when we paint, no. When we're going to paint, who's gonna paint this, and then find the places and everything, no. And
Yeah,
yeah, I find quite interesting too, that, no, like how to
yeah.
do it better, no.
Um, I think it's I think it's just being as on the business side, it's definitely being as organized as you can be, and planning and scheduling and things. And also what I said earlier in the conversation about not waiting for the inspiration to come and take you and like tap you on the shoulder. I think if you continue to just show up in your studio and practice, even if you just, just do something to start you off, eventually I think our brains naturally go in, and we're not waiting for this inspiration anymore. We're just going to go, even if we need a longer time to warm up and do some mark making. I think you can start to like cut your time down of actual painting. The more you get to know your practice, the more you don't need necessarily hours and hours and hours. So you can, gauge the time that you could probably give yourself a shorter amount of time painting. So then you can have this amount of time on admin, or, it's just, it doesn't sound very creative really, but sometimes I think giving ourselves limitations, especially for me, if I know I've only got 30 minutes to paint or an hour to paint, I'm much more brave with the marks I make. If I think I've got hours and hours, I'm probably there like, just making small marks. But if I know I'm on short time, I'm straight in there making some bold moves, and often they're the ones that look the most confident and the strongest elements. So sometimes the time limitations are good.
Well, in that, I'm like that, because I thought the same. Okay, inspirations come, but of course you need been working, so for me it's are in the same line, because creativity, as you said, something happen in your brain and then start to work more, no? So I believe yes it came, and you're getting this
I think that's the good
flow.
thing about keeping. Yes, yeah, and keep lots of notebooks as well, because on the times where you can't paint and you have to, I don't know, do the household chores or go out to work or whatever, just keep a notebook and keep writing them down, and then you might go back to them, you might not, but at least it's out of your mind, and it goes somewhere. I think every action we take or every move we make, it's just another step, it keeps adding to our practice, and it's just you just start living in that way, so you
Yeah,
get lots of ideas, and then
I thought it's a living away, no? It's a way of life,
yeah,
no? And I always said, like, we are, or we do, like, the things that really we are, no? And it's appear with the time. Of course, if you are a passionate person, of course you can feel it in your artwork, and then in a very nice conversation, and then when you cook, and like in everything, no?
yeah.
So for an artist, I thought that's a way of life.
Yeah, you're right actually, because if I think about when I cook as well, it's still a creative process, and I really enjoy watching all the bright colors of the veg in the pan, and so it's still we just apply the creativity to many areas of our life. Yeah.
And the process has, the complete process has the funniest part. I thought it's everything, no, because it's the process, but then when you show it and then you share with the others, you feel this joy, no, inside, like this warm thing. So in art, I thought it's the same, no?
Yeah.
When you buy some tools, art supplies or canvases or colors, and then you start to work on it like with so emotion. I love it, and I
I
love
do.
it as when I go to a place to hang up my artwork, no? And then I don't know if it happened the others, but I thought yes, like when you put it on the wall and then with the lights on it, and you saw it and you say,
Yeah.
wow, who made it? And then you say, I don't, how, I don't know.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, no, you're right. It's brilliant.
I thought one master here in Mexico, you know, huge master. I had the honor to talk with him, and he was telling me that I love exhibitions. Yo, yes, because it's like a party. And he was telling me, yes, it's like my birthday. Like everybody come to see us and the things that we make. So I love it. And I say, yes, that's really nice. And he said something really interesting, like, and then it's when you ask for your wishes birthday, you saw your artwork and then you share it, but not just in your mind with you. You share with all the people who is there because they are look at you,
Yeah.
besides your work. How do you
I think
control
that's
that
quite,
emotion?
yeah, when I've held exhibitions, it is quite a surreal experience because you're so used, you've spent hours and hours and weeks in your studio with these paintings, and they become, they're sort of a part of you, aren't they? You've spent this time, and then when you kind of go and hang them, like you say, and then people come and they talk to you about them, it's a very personal experience, and talking about them almost I don't know, it brings it to life even more because you've sat with all the thoughts in your mind or your notebooks and things, and then when you're actually discussing it with somebody, yeah, and you can't help but to want to tell them about it, but then there's also that thing of how much do you want to tell them or give away. I know when I was going back a few years, I don't think I definitely wasn't as confident as I am now in talking about my work, and I used to be quite shy about especially if it was really personal, if the inspiration was really personal or the subject, because then I thought, one, I felt quite vulnerable in telling people, well, this is about this, and also I think it's nice for the viewer to especially when looking at abstract art, I think it's really nice for them to take their own what they need at the time. They take from that painting. People will say, oh, it makes me feel this, or I can see this. And so sometimes I don't like to give my story away too much because it sort of takes away their own experience of it, if I influence too much. So it depends. Some buyers and some viewers of your work want to know all about you and the inspiration behind it, and I think others take from it what they need in their lives at the time.
Like
Marily,
the
I've
I got
lost your sound.
okay,
Oh, you're yeah.
like they lose maybe their own story with your artwork. No, it's yeah. In my case, sometimes it's the same. No, but I thought your words was like completely true. Um, have you hear about Brené Brown?
Mm.
Okay, she's talking about that, no, the vulnerability, and then talks about brave and everything. And I say yes, when you get this confident, as you said, and now you expose yourself with your artwork, it's scary in the beginning. No, for me, it takes me a long time
Yeah.
to accept that, no, and then to work on it and say, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
No? But I thought,
But don't you find,
mhm,
do
mhm.
you find though, after that point, because I felt a bit like that, and earlier this year, I started on Instagram, the 100-day project.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I started one with a friend called the Artist Journals, and that was our 100-day project. And the Artist Journals was all about being more open and honest in your work and being able to talk about it. And at first, I was really apprehensive because some of the things were quite deep and personal. And but after a few days, and I was explaining some things, that were about the paintings, I felt really liberated. At the time when they went out, I was like, oh God, what, I've said too much, or then I thought, well, this is me. This is what I'm doing. This is who I am. This is my artwork. And do you know the amount of engagement that came back off Instagram through my comments and posts? It was phenomenal, the amount of engagement and people really relating to the stories, and just saying, I've experienced that and I know how you feel, and so it's just that shared, just being very open. And then I just felt, well, there you go. And it was really liberating.
Yeah, it's I thought I was talking in another art talk with Heidi Thompson, no? And she was telling us like, yes, when it's a through work and comes from deep of you, of course it's like that. But yes, you show yourself. And for me, even these art talks starting to get even my paint with me in Instagram, because it's not a class, it's I show some stuff that how I do, no? It was really hard. But then I start to feel like more with me, and I show how I am, no? Yes, this is my work, how I do, and this is me. Oh, and of course you receive excellent comments and wonderful things, but also the others, no? And when I read those and I say, well, I do it like this because maybe like so looks so easy, but takes me so long,
Yeah.
no? And then the courage to
I think,
put it start and then start to do it and then to show them. But
yeah.
yes, I am. I'm like this.
And I think sometimes it's nice to show your process, because there is so much that goes on behind the scenes, and it's like all your decision making for every single inch of the painting. So it's not just oh, I've just thrown that there or thrown that. You're
Mm-hmm.
contemplating so many things. So sometimes I think doing the process videos and talking about it allows the viewer to learn a bit more about your thought process,
Mm-hmm.
how the painting came to be like that, why you've chosen this, and so yes, I need to do more process videos.
But even though I was thinking, okay, I show the process, the handling process, no? But maybe I cannot show, or I don't know how to do it, the completely brain process and the completely feeling process. I love meditation and I try to do it every day. And I discover stuff about myself. And I say sometimes I try to explain it, but you show me your notebooks and I have mine. Like, okay, I'm going to sleep, no, and then have an idea and I put it in. So I
I
can
know. Got so
everything.
many bits of paper.
I have nuts everywhere. And I say, okay. Then I go to pick it up all my post-its and then a thousand of notebooks, no? And maybe I show a part in Instagram, a process, a one part, you know? Because the other came, as you say, with life, with an experiences, no? Do you have this evolution around in your collections? Like it's noticed, like people can note your sadness, your happiness, your passion on it. I thought yes, no.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And it's surprising that I mean, we can't, when you've got all these post-it notes and pieces of paper everywhere, it's so much information, and that's why you have to just pick bits. But if you look back on your work, you can start to see some threads of, oh, I thought of that, like it might be 2 years ago, but something might come up now that you're exploring that you've probably not even remembered that. But what we spoke about earlier, and we're saying our natural instincts and what we're drawn to are within us. So these ideas, I don't think they really leave us. We just put them on the shelf here and there, and then it might come back in another way. Or so it's this, like you say, it's an evolution, and these things just come back to us, and we develop and grow. It's a beautiful process, really.
Yes, I thought the same. And do you have some recommendations for new artists, like the beginners of them? Could you recommend?
So I would say show up if you can, every day, or if not, just regularly. I would say showing up even for 10 or 15 minutes more regularly is better for your practice than doing a whole day every month, because it's I treat my practice almost like a journal. You know how you journal every day, it's your thought process. So if I try and paint every day, it comes down to my mark making processes, and I can build and build. So I'd say more regular is better, even for short amounts of time. And I'd also, I know it's hard because we judge ourselves and we compare ourselves, but I would really say just don't worry at all when you're first starting out. Just be enthusiastic about your own practice, and be curious about your cultivating your own marks and colors. Look outside for inspiration and what other people are doing, because that's how we learn. But don't get caught up. There's always going to be people ahead of you, and there's always people behind you, and I think just trust in yourself that you are exactly where you're meant to be. I know that's quite cliched, but I think it's important you understand and accept where you are today, because tomorrow it might be different, and the next day. So there's no point in putting that pressure on ourselves.
Excellent. Did you make some meditation before, or exercises, or maybe some draws before start, just to get in this mood to
um,
create?
so when a while back, when I first started sort of really paying attention to my painting practice, it was probably about 3 years ago, when I decided I was going to just solely focus not on all the other creativity, the textiles and the clothes making. I thought, I'm just going to focus on painting. And I realized that I could come with lots of emotion, and it would just go out onto the canvas. And it could be if I was feeling excited, or I might have just come in and be like high energy, or sad, or whatever. And then I thought, what if I came to this from a different headspace? So like you, I like to meditate, and I don't have a regular practice, unfortunately, but I realize that when I do meditate, I can go to a different place, and if I start a painting from that place, it's very different to the other place of high emotion. So I got to a point where I could play with that. So if I wanted that painting to be a certain way, then obviously I would be in that mind space first. But I guess now I don't really, because I suppose I understand my process a little bit more, and I understand now I'm not just coming now from a place of emotion, because I'm looking for more in my work now, especially this year. I've been looking and really sort of going deeper into my practice to find out what I really want it to be. So I don't really have any, things that before painting, any sort of rituals or meditations. Maybe some loose mark making if I haven't painted for a while. Like, I've recently moved house, and I have a home studio. So in the process of moving, I didn't paint for a good few months, and wow, it had a real impact. So when I started again, it was quite difficult, it's quite challenging to get back into my regular practice. So I did various things, small collages, just like quick, not too much pressure. So things like that, I would try for quick exercises if I was not really, feeling to go straight in. But I think the way I work in so many layers, you can almost have all those practices on the first few layers, because I'm not precious at all about that. I just go with whatever I can write. I can scrape, scratch, throw the paint at it, sort of thing, because all of that's going to be covered. So if I am feeling any tension or I'm not sure about something, I can still let all that go, even if it was on a main piece, as warm-up exercises underneath the painting.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. I have just one more, just one more, because this is really interesting. Thank you. Did you have some books that you want to recommend, or do something? No, if though to be brave and confident, no, like more techniques, or you
Um,
need to go here to show your work, or I don't know, do something else. Because
so, I have lots and lots of books, but I'm not. They're all on my reading list.
okay,
So I
could be
guess
anything.
I always listen to. I've always got something on in the background, an audio book or podcasts. One of my favourite podcasts at the moment, which I can mention, is Art Juice. It's
Okay.
run by, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's Alice Sheridan and Louise Fletcher, who are two British artists in the UK, and it's just so relatable every week. It comes out on a Tuesday, and they talk everything from numerous things. They're on about 70 something episodes, but it covers mindset, it covers working as a professional artist, getting your work into galleries or shows, or it covers so many things. And I think that's something I definitely listen to every week, and it's always relatable. And then otherwise I'm listening to things about growing your business and art business. There's this artwork book that's you see that artwork, it's going to be backwards, isn't it? But that's good for, again, lots of things down from running your business and identifying your practice, how you work best, and all these things. Most of
Personal
the things,
growing. Excellent.
yeah, most of the things are around self-development, I would say, that I listen to and that keep me motivated and focused. Basically just keep me on track, sort of thing. Otherwise, if I was looking at artists, it would be somebody like Cy Twombly,
Wow. Mhm.
for all the mark making. And yeah, I have lots of beautiful books like that I can, if I do take some time out
Oh,
to
it's
sit and have
great.
a cup of tea, I would be looking at things, looking at artists like them.
Oh, great. That's for sure. I'm going to search, everything, the books, of course, the podcast, because I have some news. So
Yeah.
later then I'm going to tell you. But
Okay.
of course, I'm going to share this with all people who is following us. And then uh, once more time, thank you so much for this wonderful talk. I want to be respect your time. I know we have a 6 hours of difference, and, and I'm in Mexico and in the UK. So thank you so much for all of these things, and I'm going to be so blessed to share all of this wonderful knowledge that you are sharing us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed chatting to you.
Oh, I really enjoy it. Thank you. So now I'm